Hello guys, in this video we are going to be learn PowerShell function. What is PowerShell function? Why we use PowerShell function? And how to create PowerShell function. PowerShell function is a PowerShell command. In PowerShell command, there are different things that we have to be understand. Every command having a name and as well as the parameter. There are different kind of parameter that you have to be understand in PowerShell function how you can create that parameter and how you can build that functionality of that PowerShell command. Write hyphen host, take a input from the user. For example, I will give here hello world. If I enter, now you can see it is written. So this function is a built-in function, but if you want to create your own function, and you can say it's an commandlet, right? So how you can create your own commandlet that will be display on your screen whatever input you will give to that function, right? So here you can see we are giving the input and function or command is returning the output. Same thing we have to be create on commandlet or function that will be work like that. How we can create, and here we have in some parameter that we have to be understand hyphen object. So this is the object in which we store the this message and it will be written that. Now you can see, so how you can create this parameter. So these are the parameter, how you can create this parameter, right? This parameter is called key value parameter, and here this one first one is having a positional parameter. And if you type here like hello world, right host, enter, now you can see it is also taking the input from the pipeline. So how you can build this one functionality in your function and how you can create the function. So let's try to understand the function. So function having a common or task that will be performed and then it will be return the output to you while taking the input from the user, right? So let's see how we can create function, take a inputs from the user and return the output. How you can build this functionality using a function? First thing you have to be understand what is the syntax. First you have to be type function keyword. You can't be change this keyword function, and after that you have to be give the function name, right? For example, here having a this name, right? So this is the name. How you can create your name? So while keeping the name of function or command, you have to be follow the verb hyphen noun rule. It's a good practice. If you follow this, you can keep as per your requirement, right? But I will follow the this rule verb hyphen noun. So I will use here print msg function name. Then here you have to use the this bracket. This is the identification of your function, right? It's indicate it's having a function. Then here you have to write the body to define your functionality of this print msg function. So you have to use this curly bracket. Inside that you have to be write your number of line that you required, but here I will require only one line to build same functionality. So what is that? So first I have to be building this functionality. This is having a positional parameter. So how you can use, we have a built-in variable dollar args, right? And if you write this one store that input and it will display that. So let's see, we have defined this function. This is the basic syntax how you can create function in PowerShell. So let's run it, but it is not printing. So when this will be print, and you have to be call the function, calling function or commands. How we call the function or command in a PowerShell, you know already. So you have defined the functionality, right? You are able to see the functionality of this function, but here right hyphen host, you are not able to see the functionality, what is the mechanism behind of this, right? But you are just calling that function. So same thing we have defined, and we have to be call this function now, print hyphen message. Now when you run this one, it won't be written anything, right? And you have to be give here message hello world. Let's run this one. Now you can see it is returning hello world. If I type here PowerShell, it will return PowerShell. So we have also designed on commandlet which will be print on a console. We have to be understand another thing. So this is the basic functionality, and we have to be understand now parameter. So there are many types of parameter that we have to be understand how we can create that these parameter, right? But is basically these parameters having a variable in which we store the information while calling that function. First one is a position parameter. Second parameter having a key value parameter. Third one having a default key value parameter. And fourth one having a switch parameter. So these are the parameter how we can create in a function. So there are two position. So there are two position where you can define these parameter in which you will take the input from the user, right? So how we can create, we have understood position parameter, we have declared how we can take the position parameter. This is the first way to create a position parameter to take the input from the user. And key value parameter, right? So we have to be understand key value, right? So we have to be pass key as well as a value of that key. How we can do that? First you have to be create a function. So we have this one function. Let's copy this one here so that you can understand. Here you can define your as number of parameter that you want to create. You can define here as well, and you can also define this parameter inside this block, right? Inside this curly bracket. So you have a two position where you can declare or create your function. Let's try to create a key value pair. So here you have to be create a variable name. For example, MSG. So this variable having a key value parameter, it will take the input from the user and then it will be written this message. I will use this variable inside this block whenever we require. So I will use this one. So I need to just print this MSG, and let's run, and I have to call this one print hyphen MSG. And if I run this one, it won't be print anything. Now here you can see like that we pass the parameter. So now you can see this is your parameter, but here you can say it's a variable, right? And you have to be give the value of this variable whatever you want to be print. For example, hey PowerShell. If I run this one command, now you can see it is printing that on a console. So this, if you are giving the input to user like that, so this is your parameter having a key value parameter, and we are defining at this position inside this bracket. This is a simple function, so you have to be take little bit advanced that is used frequently in PowerShell. So how we can use cut from here? Then if you are defining this parameter here, you have to use a one keyword that is a param, then paste here. So this is the another syntax in which you can define, but mostly in PowerShell we use this one. We will define this parameter at this position. And let's run this again. It is work or not? Now you can see it is working. How we can create two parameter? For example, here I will create one more parameter, comma dollar $msg2, and let's run this, and now you can see it is returning 1. I have not passed here message 2. Now you can see, and let's pass here 5.12, right? So I will also print this one. How we can print dollar msg in next line? I want to be print this one. Let's run this. Now you can see we are able to print that one, right? So as number of parameter you want, you can create inside this block or this bracket. So here we are using a parenthesis bracket. Inside that you have to be used. And so default parameter, what is the default parameter? For example, if you are passing here this message, right? If you are passing this message, what happen? It will be print, right? If you don't pass this message here, if you call directly print hyphen message, so what happen? It is not returning. So I want to be print something that would be a constant, right? If we don't pass, so what message you want to be passed if you don't pass anything? So here you have to use equal, and here you can type any message like a user did not pass the input. So I want to be pass this default message. This is your default message, and this parameter called as a, sorry, I didn't select this one, selected. Let's run again. What happened? Now you can see this time I am getting user did not pass input. Whatever message you want to be passed here, you can use it. If you want to pass say here number, so you can pass also like that. Let's first compile this and then run here. That now you can see whatever message you want to be keep the default, you can keep default message there for any parameter. And we have another parameter that is a switch parameter. How this will be work? So this is, you can say this is similar to this. If you pass and right, so let's see how we will create this message, right? So we have this message, right? And here I will use one more parameter before this, switch. If I pass switch, then I want to be print, right? Here if dollar message light off, and here I will change this name. I will keep the meaningful on, and here as well on. First compile this message function, and I will use here print. And if type here like that, what happened? Now you can see it is returning this one. If I use this one parameter hyphen on, I don't have to be pass any input here. We just have to use here this parameter, right? It's like a flag, and hit enter. Now you can see light is on. So if you want to create such parameter, that you have to use a switch parameter. You have to be understand parameter attributes, how that will be work, right? So we have understood how will we take the input from the user, like a positional parameter and key value parameter, switch parameter. Let me run this one, and what I will do here, I will try to pass using a pipeline. So it will be accept or not. Hello world. Now you can see it is not printing that message using a pipeline. So we are passing through pipeline this input, right? So we are using this one function. So it is not working. So how this will be work? Let's create how we can build this functionality in your function to pass the input using a pipeline. So for that we have to be understand the attribute of parameter. So what are that parameter that we have to be understand that are keyword, you can't be change that one, right? So we have a number of parameters that we have to be understand. So let me create a function. I will use here get hyphen message log, and then for parameter I will use param keyword. Inside that I will create here my variable, right? For example, I will take the msg. Here we have to be print, right? Let's me make it here, and I will print here message $msg. And where we have to use that parameter here at before this or above this line, you can use this attribute of parameter. What are that attribute? Here you have to use a this square bracket inside you have to be type parameter, and you have to use this bracket, and inside that you have to be type the attribute. So what are that attribute? Like a mandatory. So what happen if you type this one, right? Let's run this one, and I will call this get hyphen message. If I run without passing this parameter input, so what happened? Now you can see it is asking that message, right? Hello. So it's become mandatory for the user, so you have to be pass this message parameter value, right? So it's become a mandatory. If you don't, if you remove this one, what happen? If you make it false, so you can, let's make it false it, and what happen? It won't be prompt you that message. Now you can see it is not prompting. So this is the use of this mandatory parameter. And we have another parameter that you can understand here, comma. Then if you are using a more than one, you have to use a comma. If you are using a single, so you can use it. We have a value from by parameter name, and we have another parameter that is a value from pipeline. So this attribute we have to be used here. So let's use one by one. Value from pipeline. If you use this one, and you just have to be pass the value, right? How? Let's run this, and here you have to pass hello pipeline and get hyphen message hello world. Now enter. Now you can see it is taking the input from the pipeline, but here we are passing the value, not the key value. So if you are passing with property, so it will automatic map to your property. Here you are using a message, right? And if you use here like computer, right? And if you want to print only computer, and here you have to use a by property name. So what happen if you run this one, and if you type again, so it won't be take the this message from the pipeline. So how this will work? You have to be used like a computer. Here you are using a computer property, right? So you have to use this property as well as the value of it, and if you pass like that, so it will automatic map to this, and it will accept that parameter, right? Let's see how we can create this like that. Yeah, PowerShell object. So we have a new hyphen object, then system dot management dot automation dot ps object. This is the .NET class that we are going to be use it for this. And here you have to use the hash and pass your computer win 123. and enter. Now you can see this is your property and this is the value. Like that, if you pass, it will automatic assign, right? Let's use here pipeline and get hyphen message and enter. Now you can see it is printing that one. If having a more than one property, it will take only that property will be mapped to this which having a common name, computer and computer, it will map only that one, right? So like that you can map your pipeline input. So by value you can map and by property you can map it. So these are the property, and when you have to use it, I hope you understood. When you are going to be created your own commandlets or function which will accept the input from the pipeline, so you can use also that one. So we are using here positional parameter, right? So like that we are taking, right, position. Here you have a parameter position as well. So here if you pass like a dollar position equal 0, so what happen, it will accept also without this property position wise, right? Let's see, get hyphen message and here pass the value hello. Now you can see it is taking the input get hyphen message, right? If you pass here without parameter, even though you have make it mandatory, right? So let's see what happened. Now it is taking input, now it is printing, and if I pass without parameter, so it will be accept. Now you can see it is taking the default one as well. Let's see another parameter. What is that? We have also advanced function. This is also advanced function, but we have to be use a one more parameter. If you use here commandlet binding here before the param block, if you use here like that commandlet binding, and if you use this one parameter like that, it's become as an advanced function. So what is the advanced function? When you create your normal function without this, you have to be compiled, then you have to be use it, right? So if you use this one, it will be bind up your command, right? So you can use the binary of this function. So therefore it is having an advanced function. So we have a two function, normal function and advanced function. So we have understood about this function, and we have also little bit advanced part in a function, right? And you have a this function get hyphen message, then break curly bracket, and inside you have to use the param for taking the input parameter from the user, this section. And we have also divided other part, other this block also divided into a different block. So what are that block? We have a also begin block, you can say it's a method, and inside this one block, and we have also process block, and we have also and block. So these are the block. Apart from this, we have also finally block and clean block as well, but we have to be focused only on it, right? How this will be work. So begin process, what is the meaning of it? Begin process having a pre-processing, and this block having a processing, and this having a post processing. Means this one will work only beginning of the function and one time, and this will also run one time after processing part has completed. So this one will work one time end of the processing, and this will work before the processing. So how this will be work? Let's try to understand this one so that you can understand. So I'm going to take the here number parameter. So let me copy this thing and I will paste here, and I will use only one parameter, for example dollar input dollar data, and I will use as a position as well and by property name, so you can use any. So let's try to understand one by one what happened. And I will use here by property. Instead of by property, I will use only value, and I will print this data. What happened? Select and run, and I will call this get hyphen message, and now it is taking the hello. Now it is printing. If I use here pipeline, so here you have to be see the impact pipeline, and I will use the range from 1 to 5, right? Let's see, it is not printing anything, right? But that has been processed. If you want to see that, now you can see I will use here hyphen write hyphen host, and I will print here pre-processing dollar data. Let's run. Now you can see that part is running, but it is not taking the input at this beginning block, but this will be run before the taking the input, right? And we have another block, it will only run one time, process block. Process, inside the process I will use the processing dollar data, and let's see. Now you can see, so this block has run how many times, whatever data we have passed here using a pipeline. So as number of data input data, it will be run this process block, right? And this will run before this processing block, right? And we have also AND block. So how this will work? And inside that you have to be write hyphen host, and inside that, so that you can understand post processing and dollar data. Let's select this one and run it, and if you see the impact here, now you can see 5 at the last iteration. This was taking the input last iteration data, right? So it is running and of the all input, right? So after taking the all input from the pipeline and then processed, then it is running end of this, right? For example, if you want to understand this scenario, you are working with the database, right? So in database, first you have to be open the database connection, so that will be put in a begin block, and you are going to be run multiple query, so that will you have to be used inside the process block. And of this, after doing the query, you have to be disconnect your database, so that will part you have to be write in a and block. So this is the scenario where you can use, this is one scenario, but these are the optional begin and process, but you have to be understand what is your requirement when you have to be use this one. So this one is a little bit advanced how you can be use it,